Good evening, everyone. Welcome. I'm Deacon Patrick Conway. I work here at Resurrection Church, and it's good to see you all here tonight. We may not have all met, but I might have emailed a lot of you. Thank you for responding, and we're just so happy that you're all here tonight to work on peace together, to be inspired, to be supportive of one another, and that we get to know one another as a community, because we are the local peacemakers. Our guest speakers tonight are the Globetrotters. But they say peace begins at home right here in Santa Cruz County, or wherever you live and work and pray and play. So one thing that we do to come together is to sing. And so I invite you to take your songbooks. They're in front of you, the green songbook. If you're in the front row, they're underneath you in the seat. And to turn to number 732. 732, it's called World Peace Prayer, pretty much to the point. And this was written by a man named Marty Haugen, who's a good Lutheran from Minnesota. And he based it on the Upanishads, so the Hindu scriptures. So it just reminds us that peace is a universal desire. A lot of us believe that we were really made for peace, and that while we may have warlike tendencies and hostilities that come up, we're really made for peace. We're made to live in peace and harmony with one another. And because we're not perfect, that means forgiveness, reconciliation, second and third and 100th chances and things like that. So let's sing a little bit for peace, reflecting on this universal wisdom. Lead us from death to life, from falsehood to truth, from despair to hope, from fear to trust. Lead us from hate to love, from war to peace. Let peace fill our hearts. Let peace fill our world. Let peace fill our universe. Still all the angry cries, still all the angry guns, still now your people die, earth's sons and daughters. Let justice roll, let mercy pour down. Come and teach us your way of compassion. Lead us from death to life, from falsehood to truth, from despair to hope, from fear to trust. Lead us from hate to love, from war to peace. Let peace fill our hearts. Let peace fill our world. Let peace fill our universe. So many lonely hearts, so many broken lives, longing for love to break into their darkness. Come teach us love. Come teach us peace. Come and teach us your way of compassion. Lead us from death to life, from falsehood to truth, from despair to hope, from fear to trust. Lead us from hate to love, from war to
peace fill our hearts. Let peace fill our world. Let peace fill our universe. Let justice ever roll. Let mercy fill the earth. Let us begin to grow into your people. We can be love. We can bring peace. We can still be your way of compassion. Lead us from death to life, from falsehood to truth, from despair to hope, from fear to trust. Lead us from hate to love, from war to peace. Let peace fill our hearts. Let peace fill our world. Let peace fill our universe.
Wow. Can you feel how beautiful it is to be together? Come on. Yeah? Come on, let us know. Can you feel it? Yes, we're here. It's so good to be together, and I want to say thank you so much to Deacon Patrick and to Resurrection Church for saying yes. Right? And my dear, dear friend, Ziggy from Sangha Shantivanam, thank you for co-sponsoring this beautiful gathering with Temple Bethel and Resurrection. And I just can't say how energized I feel to be able to introduce all of you. Some of you have met them before, but the rest of you who have not, to be able to hear these messages. I'm so glad that we have our junior high and high school students here from Temple Bethel. Give them a shout out. Rabbi Schiffer is here. We have pastors from different churches here. We have other leaders from the Islamic Center, and I am so grateful to all of you. And I want to welcome up Aisha to please open us up with a beautiful prayer. So Aisha, if you would go over to the microphone and share with us an opening from your tradition. My peace partner, my amazing peace partner. I think...
The tall one?
Patrick, Deacon, is it okay for Aisha to be over there where you were singing? Okay, good.
Thank you. Ooh, it's on.
Watch out.
Okay, listening, I'm running him. Oh Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to be together, for this opportunity to open our hearts and listen and come to you with kindness and grace. You have told us that those who are peacemakers are blessed. You are closer to us than our jugular vein, and we ask that you open our hearts to listen to the message of peace and to be able to bring that light into the world with gratitude. Thank you. Amen.
Amen. I want to invite you all to turn off your phones. I should have done that already, but I'm going to do it now. So turn them off, close them, do whatever you need to do. Do not disturb, because we want to be here right now in this moment. And I want to invite up my dear friends, Maoz Inon and Aziz Abu Sarah. Come on up, friends. Wow, here we are. Maoz Inon is an Israeli entrepreneur and peace activist, and he has founded a number of different tourism platforms in initiatives in Israel and the Middle East, and I have had the great pleasure of traveling with him a number of times. He has hostels, he tours people, gives people tours of the Jesus Trail in Nazareth, and it was an amazing experience to share that time with you, Maoz. I'm so grateful to you, and we're going to hear your story in just a moment. And I want to share that while I have known Maoz just for a couple of years, I have known Aziz, and some of you have traveled with his tour agency called Mejdi, which he founded with an American Jewish man named Scott Cooper. And some of us, raise your hand if you've been on interfaith trips with us and with Mejdi. I know some of you here, yeah? And so here we are. And Aziz is an incredible Palestinian peace activist, journalist, social entrepreneur, and politician? No, you used to be. This is dated. You were. You ran for something.
Once
We won't
upon a
talk
time.
about it. We won't talk about it. Okay. But I don't want to take too much time, but I do really want to say, please, if you would share your stories with this gathering of people and how you've come to be doing this work together.
You want to start?
No,
So, we've been doing this work for, I started by...
Yeah, without the mic. Yeah, put your, yeah.
So, we started...
Wait.
Yeah, it's working? Yeah? 1, 2, 1, 2. No?
You need the ear thing.
no, it's working.
No?
No, the other thing that goes around your
No, we don't. do
No,
one.
this is it. It is working.
Yeah, it's working. I'll bring it closer. Maybe.
Can you still hear him?
Yeah?
Okay, that's what matters. He can tell me and I'll tell you.
This is what I wanted to get. So we've been doing this work for the last 2 years, and we don't remember now who said what and who's saying when and where. We are using each other's words. So I will use Aziz's words now. So when people are gathering or coming to hear Palestinian and Israeli speaking, they think it's going to be in there that it will be a debate or an argument, arguing, and they don't come and experience and expecting Israeli and Jew to be on the same side and to start the conversation with a hug. So this is exactly how we're going to open tonight, just by hugging and embracing each other.
Thank you, Roger. Thank you.
To start with, I want to start with the reality from the Holy Land, where I was born and raised as an Israeli. And the reality we are living nowadays is broken. Our politics is broken, our environment is broken. 2025 was the driest year since we started recording and measuring rainfall. And the economy, politician, everything is broken. The reality is broken. And when the reality is broken, it's time for the prophets to show. And the prophet, as I see it, they have two main roles. Role number one is to tell us, the common people and the leaders, that the reality is broken. And if we'll try to continue and hold it, it's going to crash upon us all and create and bring a great distraction. And the second role of the prophet is to show us the path. The path to peace, justice, and reconciliation. And from this broken reality that we all live within, my personal life got broken on October 7th. Just over 2 years ago. Then 2 years ago, I was born about a mile away from Gaza in a small kibbutz named Niram that my grandparents established back in 1943. And my father was born in this kibbutz, my mother in a nearby kibbutz, maybe 5-6 miles away. And my parents raised me, my 3 sisters, and my young brother in this kibbutz in Iram. And then we moved to even a closer community, to the Gaza border, which is called Netiv HaSara, where my parents lived for the last 30 years. And that's on Saturday morning, I called my father in the Moshav, in Netiv HaSara. It was 7:30 in the morning, and he told me that there is a war. War just started, and they can hear and feel the bombs, the missiles, the shooting. There was a siren all over. And he shared with me that they locked the house and they are in the safe room. So I told him, Daddy, I love you. Please tell Mom that I love her too. I told him, look, it's happening every few months. Once a year, there is an escalation with the safety situation next to the border with Gaza. So I'm sure that will also, it will go away soon. And just watching on social media that Hamas is intruding Israeli communities, that the wall has been fallen, and Toyota trucks driven by Hamas in Sderot, the big town of the area. And that's something that I don't remember. Never happened before. So about 10 minutes after I spoke with my father, I called him again, and this time there was no answer. I tried to call my mom, there was no answer. I called my sisters, I called my brother who was based in London. We tried to reach them, their neighbors, people we knew. No one picked up the phone, no one. So we grouped together at my sister's house with their my parents' 8 grown-up grandchildren. And we kept trying and calling, and names start coming of neighbors, people we knew that were killed. More names, more people we knew, and nothing from our parents. And about 4 in the afternoon, we were able to reach, someone picked up the phone. After these long days, one of the neighbors picked up the phone, and we told him, just tell us what's happening. We want to know. And he told us that my parents' house is burned to ashes, and there are 2 bodies inside. So we have decided to start the Shiva, the Jewish way of mourning, on Sunday, and it was the first Shiva of the war. And every morning of the Shiva, we started just my brother and sisters. We were sitting together, crying, holding hands, and getting ready for the day where hundreds of people would come and cry with us, and be with us, and share also their stories and testimonial from October 7th. And on the second day, my brother said, I want to share something with you. I want us all to agree on a share universal message that we're going to speak to everyone that will come to the Shiva and beyond that. And he told us, I want this message to be that we reject revenge. We reject revenge. We don't want to revenge the death of our parents. By revenging the death, we are not going to bring them back. And we're only going to escalate the cycle of bloodshed, fear, hate that we've been trapped within. Palestinian Israelis, we've been trapped within for a century. And he's telling us, I want that us, the children of Bila and Yacobi, that were our beloved parents that we just lost, will break this cycle and choose and create an alternative path, an alternative future. So it took us maybe 1-2 minutes that we all aligned and agreed with him, and that's what we start talking and telling everyone. And that night I was crying in bed at night. And I'm the biggest crier of the family. I was crying day and night. And while I was crying at night, suddenly my body was in pain that I never experienced before. And through my tears, I could see all of you. I had a vision. I could see the entire humanity, and the entire humanity was crying with me. And we were crying, and our tears started going down our face to our bodies, and our bodies were wounded from the war. They were damaged, they were burned, they were bleeding. It was a horrible vision. And we kept crying, and our tears went down our bodies and washed our wounds, healing our burns, healing our bleeding, and healed us. Our tears cured us. And we kept crying, and then our tears started going down to the earth, and we could not see anything but blood. The entire earth was soaked with blood. And we kept crying, and our tears started washing the blood away, purifying the land. And then, after we cried so hard, the land became beautiful and clean and shining and inviting. And then through my tears, I could see a path. I could see the path to peace and reconciliation. And I woke up from this vision, and I realized immediately that if I want to heal myself, if I want to cure myself, because for 3 days and 3 nights, that's not a vision, that's not a metaphor, I was drowning in an ocean of sorrow and pain. My entire body was broken into thousands of pieces. And I realized that if I want to heal myself, I must choose this path. And this is exactly the path I've been going on for more than 2 years now. And in the morning, I opened my WhatsApp and my Facebook and messages, and I saw that I received a message from Aziz. And his message, he shared his condolences and saying that he's supporting me and my family in the hardest time we ever experienced. And immediately I knew that yes, I lost my parents only 3 days ago, but I want a brother. I just want a brother. I want Aziz. Again, Aziz, I know I'm saying it all the time, but I mean it more and more as we are building and working and forging our brotherhood. It means more and more to me every time I say it, so thank you.
And I cry every time.
I'm not as big of a crier. So
We'll work on it.
I'm surrounded by two, so that's good. Thank you. So in the last 2 years, we got to know each other well, and a year ago, we started on this journey of writing a book together. And in the journey to write this book, we started traveling through Israel and Palestine, went to visit Maoz's home in the south and the border, looking over Gaza. We interviewed friends and family to be part of the story. It's a journey that we undertake together, and interviewed people in Israel, people in Palestine, people in Gaza, all over. But through this journey, we got to also examine and reflect on our relationship and on our stories. And so I'll start sharing my story from reading to you something I've written for the book. The book is not out yet, but you can still pre-order it. It'll be out in April next year. We already finished writing though, so yay, done. You have no idea the stress and the pressure to finish writing on time, which we didn't finish on time. So this part is, as we traveling, we also didn't connect only to one religion or one faith or one. We tried to encompass the many stories that Israel and Palestine, Jerusalem for sure, encompass. And so when we went to Jerusalem, we went into the Old City, and then we went to the Holy Sepulchre Church. And while we there, for those who've traveled with Majdi, sometimes we meet with a priest or a monk or somebody there, and we're talking about division within each of our communities, and talked about the division within the church, the whole different sects. You know, the Holy Sepulchre has 6 different churches that are, you know, the church is divided between those churches. And I shared that I met this monk there who once told me, you know, you can see the fight that happens once a year, once every couple of years, or you can see for 364 days of the year, we get along very well despite the fact that there's so much complication. It's like if you book the hall for your wedding and you come to that wedding and you find 5 other couples have booked the same place. And if you can manage to do a wedding in that hall, it's incredible. It's like you can look at it different ways. And so this is a preset of the next thing. So I'm talking about Jerusalem from the Holy Sepulchre. Stepping inside the Holy Sepulchre, a flood of emotions tightened my chest as I inhaled the heady scent of incense. Jerusalem is home. It's my first love. My connection to it is rooted in my soul. But no place has ever broken my heart like Jerusalem. Jerusalem is where I buried my brother. The musk we use to anoint him is the same scent the monks mix with the frankincense in this tomb. Jerusalem scarred me and traumatized me as a child. It tore me down and it built me up. Jerusalem is where I found faith in God and screamed against the divine silence that made me doubt his existence. In this city of peace, I buried my uncle, a gas station attendant, killed by settlers looking for an easy target. They tortured and beat him, then tied him to their car and dragged him until he died. It's where my cousin's toddler suffocated to death from tear gas after I had chosen the path of peace. I've tried to leave Jerusalem many times. I've wanted to walk away and never return. I didn't want this pain. I didn't want this version of Jerusalem in my life. But I could never stay away for long. Somehow, I always find myself drawn back to my first love. Jerusalem is like a broken relationship. A love so deep and raw, it hurts. A love crying out for healing, and a love in desperate need for therapy. Thank you.
Wow.
So,
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Keep going.
So I thought to start with this just to tell you where I come from. As I mentioned, I lost my brother when I was 10 years old, and then a few other family members. And the big difference between Maoz's story and mine, because our stories are pretty much identical in many ways, or similar in many ways, is I was 10 years old when that happened to me, and so I did not grow up supporting peace. I didn't go 2 days later and be like, okay, no to revenge. That seemed not even a choice at the time. And it took me 8 years to reach the place Maoz has reached in 2 days. And partially because when you're 10 years old, you don't understand that you do have a choice. And for me, it took me going to study Hebrew in an ulpan, which is where Jewish immigrants go to study Hebrew. And it was the first time I met Israelis and Jews who oppose the occupation, who support, see ourselves as equals, who we can work together. And as Mao said, it's not the us versus them in that reality. And so it was in my Hebrew class that I started this journey, the same path and journey that Maoz have talked about already. And in the broken reality that we're talking about is not something new. It's not something that happened last week. It's not something that happened last year. It's not something that happened 2 years ago. It's something that has been going on through all of our lives and our parents' lives as well. This is a broken reality that is a long, long-term broken reality. And with every generation, it keeps getting worse and worse. It doesn't get better. And so what we are here to do is to make sure that this pain and this reality, this broken reality, does not go on to the next generation and then the next generation, because each time we wait, it gets significantly worse. And I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Thank you to both of you for sharing. And again, I cry each time because your stories are so moving and you are in such a deep partnership in the ways that you work together and the people that you interact with. And I wanted to ask you to go a little bit deeper into how you have navigated that pain and what the people see as the response, which would be for revenge. You talked about your dream, you talked about your vision, you talked about going to Ulpan. Can you say a little bit more about this?
Yeah, I can. Also, it's, yes, so this is a brotherhood. It's not a friendship. It's more than friendship and a partnership. But there are many like us. There are so many Israelis and Palestinians that choose to work together and heal themselves as individuals, but as collective and as people by working together. So it's really great honor, and thank you, Patrick, and for everyone to come and hosting us. But we are not unique. There are many, many like us. Maybe we are not heard and silenced and overseen, but just want to assure you that there are many like us. So for me, so I went on many interviews, TV, radio, and newspaper, and podcast after October 7th, and at the beginning, people I wasn't where I am now. I went with spiritual growth and faith growth, and I evolved in the last 2 years. But at the first few weeks, I would start by saying that nothing can prepare you or myself for such a tragedy. Nothing can prepare you for losing both your parents, so many of your childhood friends, or their parents, or their children. Nothing can prepare you. And then after a few weeks, I realized that I was wrong. I was wrong because I was prepared. My sisters, brother, and me, we were prepared for October 7th to know exactly what to say, how to act, and what to do. And you can guess who prepared us, right? Our parents. Our parents prepared us for this moment. My father was a farmer, just like Aziz's father. And farmer must be very resilient. Definitely if they are working in the Holy Land, Palestine, and Israel, the conditions are so difficult. In the winter we have drought, and in the summer we have wildfire, and insects, and cold wave, and there is always a catastrophe and a disaster in the field and in the farm. And my father will share how challenging the situation is season after season. It was a catastrophe. But then he wasn't talking about the next year, he was acting. I spent days and nights traveling and with my father, traveling in the field and in the farm. And I could see him consulting with other farmers, what they have done wrong, how they can improve for next year. I would see him learning from his mistakes, getting the best seeds, fertile the land, open it for the rainwater to come. And then now it's the season, at the beginning of November, late October, I would see him sowing again after the devastating season that was just the year before. And he was sowing not with faith and not with belief. He was sowing knowing that next year will be a better year, that he has the agency to change the future. And he cannot wait for no one. He cannot wait for miracles. He cannot wait for an angel, for the Messiah, and definitely not for a politician to make the future better. It's up to him. And few weeks after October 7th, I was really looking into my inner body and myself, and I could see that each part within my body knows that next year will be better. But it's up to me to make it better. I cannot wait for no one. And with this knowing and faith, I'm able to first to heal myself. I really believe in working on ourselves to be healed. And for me, healing and become cure is working with Aziz and many other Palestinians and Jews and Arabs and Israelis and Palestinian peacemakers in order to change the future. We have the agency to do so, just like my father had, and we just need to be courageous enough and brave enough to sow the seeds. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. We can clap. Come on.
So we've recently talked more about the farming thing, and I was telling Maoz that I grew up in a house where my dad grew up also as a farmer, and then ended up growing watermelon and bananas, which according to my dad, bananas from Jericho are the best bananas on earth, and you can disagree, you'll be wrong, it's fine. Not everything has two different narratives. Sometimes there is a fact. But one of the amazing thing about farming is you don't always feel like it. Definitely when I grew up, my dad would wake us up in the weekend at literally 5 in the morning so we can go and help doing some work in our small, we had a small land outside our house, and so we would go and farm it and do all kind of crops in it. And it depends on the time of the year, it's different things we'll be doing. And I didn't like it. Like, the last thing a 10-year-old wants to do is to wake up at 5 in the morning to go work on the land, and then it's my one day off and I have to wake up even earlier than when I have to wake up for school. But the thing is, you do it whether you like it or not. And I think in some ways farming and peacemaking have some similarities in that aspect. It doesn't always feel good, it doesn't always feel cool, it doesn't always feel right, and you still do it. Sometimes it's cold outside, sometimes it's tiring, sometimes you really don't just want to get up at all, but you still do it. And that's very much, to me, is what peacemaking is like. It's, it doesn't always feel like, there's a concept, when you talk to people and you say, I'm a peacemaker, there's this concept is like this cool, hippie, I know, like kumbaya thing, and if you really work in peacemaking, it's not. There's so much hard moments that are not the kumbaya thing, even if you are a peace activist. In aspect also, it's really, it challenges you for who you are and what you want to do and what you believe. And what Maoz just talked about is like you face yourself with the questions, very important questions. And for me, at 18, I had to face that question of my choice, of what do I do? I grew up wanting revenge. I grew up thinking revenge is the only path. And so part of my journey was deciding, do I want to follow this idea that revenge is the only path or not? And to me, what was hard to realize is realizing that for those 8 years, between 10 until 18, I was being a slave to the person who killed my brother. And that every time I choose revenge, I wasn't really being free to choose my own path. I was being controlled by this person, reacting. And so much of what we see today, not only in Israel and Palestine, in general, in the world around us, is pushed by us reacting to what somebody else is doing instead of being intentional of what our direction is. And the moment I realized that, it was much easier, and I know it sounds crazy, but much easier to forgive even the person who killed my brother. Not because they deserve it, because they don't, but because it's my choice. And it's for me, not for them, because it's my ability to do it. And that's something that unites us in our path, is being able to say, I forgive, and I'm willing to walk this path even deeper. Now, it's not easy, and I understand not everyone even would agree with us on it, but this is what we reflect on in our peace journey, and that's the journey you're talking about.
I really want to know, how do you respond to people who disagree with you? Like, what do you say?
We just tell them they're wrong.
Okay, good.
No, I'm joking.
We're done. See you later.
We deal with it differently. I mean, and that's the cool part. Probably this brotherhood, friendship, all of that, we a bit different than each other. And so we deal, for example, Maoz never argued with anybody online. I don't think I've seen you arguing with anyone online. I, every now and then, enjoy it. I think it's like, why not? Why not? Just take a moment. So we deal with it differently. But I think at the end of the day, it's less about arguing with someone, and as somebody who does enjoy it here and there, you almost never convince somebody by arguing with them. It's a waste of time. It has to do more, we do it more for ourselves than really to convince somebody they are right or wrong. What does work the most is try to model what the future you're trying to create. And so when people keep saying, but you're wrong, I say, but this is not wrong. this works. And this is not only Maoz and I, this is a group of us. And I understand, yeah, they'll say you're not the majority, you're not this. Okay, I get it, we're not. But change doesn't happen by magically we becoming the majority. Even if we want to be the majority, then you work for it. Like nothing happens on its own. So yes, we're not where we need to be now, but that's exactly why we need to do the work we are doing. So I don't believe arguing with people makes a huge difference. I think the most is showing people what we committed to, presenting an alternative to the reality, because that's the one thing missing, I think, today, is people don't see what the alternative vision to what's happening. And by creating that alternative vision, you're creating something that people can believe in. And if we don't have something we can all believe in, then there's nothing to work for.
So I want to turn to you, Maoz, to move forward on that.
I will go also for what Aziz also shared about the forgiveness and the power of forgiveness. And to tell you, like, I was born and raised in Israel in a kibbutz. It's a secular, very secular Jewish community. And for 30 years, I was living within the walls of ignorance, physical and mental walls of ignorance. Within Israel, Palestine, West Bank, and Gaza, there are about 14 million people, 14 million people. Within it, 7 million Jews and 7 million Palestinians. 2 million Palestinians in Gaza, 3.5 million Palestinians in the West Bank, and about 2 million Palestinians, citizens of Israel. And till the age of 30, I had not even one Palestinian friend. I didn't know the differences between Eid al-Adha, Eid al-Fitr, or Ramadan. I was ignorant to it. I didn't know where Jesus was born, where he's buried, and never heard about the Annunciation. Never heard about it. But after traveling twice around the world, I knew about native people and indigenous communities in Australia, in New Zealand, in Asia, in South America, but was completely ignorant regarding Palestinians. And then I've decided to break those walls of ignorance by opening gates. Opening gates, realizing that when there is ignorance, there is fear. When there is fear, there is hate. And when there is hate, we do horrible things to each other. And from here, I want to go also to the book. I brought a different text from the book to read. Maybe I'll read it later. But when we walked in Jerusalem, and the churches along the Via Dolorosa, and I think it was Aziz who said, here Jesus said, when the Roman soldiers stabbed him, he said, forgive them, Father, because they don't know what they are doing. Please forgive me if I'm not saying it exactly like this, okay? I never heard it before. I never heard it before till we were researching and working on our book. So I always, and now I'm going back to your question, I'm always, if there is a difficult question, I always go to the holy books. The Old Testaments, the Bible, and the Quran. They have all the answers. All the answers are there. And I'm saying it as a secular. At least I used to be secular. After meeting the late Pope Francis, I've also been changed. Maybe we'll have time to talk about it. But, and again, we are sharing stories, personal stories, holy books, or reading a poem. Within those three, and if you make it or personal or holy, then it's not a debate anymore. We are sharing our perspective, we are sharing our beliefs and faith, and that's how I personally deal with difficult questions if someone wants to argue with me. And many says they are all murderers. They are all murderers, they are not human, they want to erase, kill, ethnical cleanse, or wipe the other. I'm not saying who are they or who are the other. From each group, we get it from both, okay? And so then I'm going to the story of the prophet Jonah. That when God is sending him, giving him a mission to bring back to the right path the wicked people of Nineveh. And prophet Jonah refused. He tells God, you should destroy them. They are pure evil. You should destroy them and erase the city. And God is basically telling him, I'm not the God of the desert. I'm also being evolved. I'm now the God of mercy. And there is a place for forgiveness, not for punishment. If they choose to go back to the path of peace and reconciliation. And then we all know Jonah's story, and then he go and do what God told him to. And in 40 days, he was able to transform the entire people of Nineveh as individual and as community, as collective. So even you are right, they are all evil and murderers and want to erase us. But if a true prophet and a messenger of God will go and preach to them, they have the potential to be transformed and to be forgiven, because God is the God of mercy, not of punishment. So that's how I deal with when people are arguing, and I just gave you one small example, but we can use it to many others. Thank you.
Thank you. So this brings us to a question that has come up. Is there such thing as morality in war? How do you answer that kind of question? Because I think you just brought us right into that.
Do we have till midnight?
Yeah, we have a few days. We didn't tell you to bring your sleeping bags,
Yeah.
but
It's, so the concept of just war, we're in a Catholic church, so it was developed heavily by a couple of theologians. Saint Augustine is one, and then later on Saint Thomas Aquinas, if I'm saying the name wrong, to Aquinas. He wrote more on it, and I can understand where, as there are so many wars, you have to figure out when to start a war, when it's okay to start a war, all of that. How can war be moral is through my whole life, and I've been to many war zones. I've been to Afghanistan, I've been to Syria, I've been to Colombia, I've worked in so many war zones and conflicts. I have yet to find a moral war that has been waged, not the US. In the wars we've done, I've been to Vietnam, have seen the damage that was done there. I have yet to find a war that can be fought in a moral way. And I would argue, and I'm not saying, I don't want to go so far to say, well, all wars are wrong, but through at least my life, I can say I've struggled to find one justified war. I think we too quick to jump to war. I'm a big sci-fi fan, and my favorite author is a Jewish man named Isaac Asimov, who who had a very strong moral compass, in my opinion. He was very anti-nationalism. He said nationalism is going to take us away from humanity, and I think in some ways we see that today. It's like if we're not careful, eventually we're trying to save nationalism, and if we're not careful, by the time we do that, there will be no humanity left to save. It's a choice, what's more important to us. But he also said, in one of the stories in Foundation, there's a scene or a part of the book where two nations are about to go to war, and the leader of one of those two nations refusing to use violence. And his people are trying to convince him he's being wrong. And they're like, we've tried diplomacy, we've tried everything, now it's time to go to war. And his response was, violence is the last refuge for the incompetent. And in some ways, what war says about us is that we're incompetent. Leaders who choose war are incompetent leaders because they fail at diplomacy. And so that's what we see in the world today, from Sudan to Congo, from Haiti to Colombia, from all parts of, from Israel, Palestine, Gaza, Iran, all the conflicts we see around the world tell us that the leaders, and in some ways the people who letting those leaders do it, we are incompetent. And as a humanity, we've been incompetent. That's why we chose war. And it's competence and diplomacy that can help us get out of that.
So, thank you. Did you want to add anything to that, Maoz?
We have till midnight, many things. War is already, when there is a war, it's a failure of humanity. War is the failure. And now I'll use words of one of the latest prophets, at least for me. It's a Nigerian musician and an activist named Fela Kuti. There is now a 12-episode podcast about the life of Fela and legacy of Fela Kuti. I highly, highly recommend you to listen. It's titled Fear No Man. And one of his best poem, he says, war is not the answer, war has never been the answer, and war will never be the answer. So understanding that, we need to understand that we need to prevent wars. We need to prevention. Because after war happened, it's already, the cancer is within us, or the disease, and then as we keep waging more war and seeking revenge, the disease is eating us from the inside. As individual, and I was there, and we stop functioning. So humanity stopped functioning when there is a war going on, and it doesn't matter how far the war is in the world, it's also impacting us wherever we live. And if we want to do everything we can, and we can do a lot, to stop the war, doesn't matter where, sooner or later, it will come to us. So we need to prevent wars, and also when we're speaking just about morals, I go again back to the prophets. For me, prophets are the symbol of moral. I want to follow them and their leadership and their prophecy. That's where I'm getting that's my moral compass, the prophets. There is not even one prophet in all the Abrahamic religion that his prophecy is to wage war and to revenge and bring bloodshed and destruction. There is no one, no prophets. So if no prophet have a prophecy about war, so it's not moral. That's how I see it. And also what I learned in the last 2 years is that what we prepare ourselves for is what's happening. What we prepare ourselves for, that's what will come to us. And if all the time we'll be preparing to the next war, it's going to happen. Because we're investing so many of our resources in the war that we're expecting to come. So first, when it's come, it's not any surprise because we expected that. So what we expected for, where we invested our resources, that's what's happening. So this is exactly why and this is our work, we are preparing for peace.
Thank you, Maoz. That was a beautiful answer. So I have a question. Is there an indication among people in Israel for supporting an end to this war and collaborating for a peace process and Palestinian support for a two-state solution? What do you see in terms of what you're talking about right now? Like, is there support there?
You want to start?
Yeah.
Okay. I think there's different indications. It's funny because this last month there were 2 polls about Palestine giving you the exact opposite results. And so pollings are tricky because it depends what you ask people and how you ask the question. You will get very different answer to the same literally to the same question. And so you had one poll that basically said vast majority of Palestinians reject the two-state solution, and then another poll that showed more people in Palestine support the two-state solution, and the difference was how the question was asked. I think that's a wrong question altogether. Are you for or against the two-state solution? Because people at the moment, as Maoz mentioned, are not even thinking about what solution exactly going to happen. What they are thinking about is what's happening in their lives. If you also subject it to violence at the moment, the only thing you think about is that violence. So if you go to Gaza and ask people about two-state solution, they'll laugh at you. It's like, we being bombed and you asking us about two-state solution? Like, or do you recognize Israel as a Jewish state, which was one of the questions? Like, that's not a question you ask and expect like a serious answer when bombs are falling over people's heads. It's not realistic. So we have to be very careful with how we then create an image of where the people are. But even if you ask Israelis today about two-state solution, they will tell you no, we don't. But if you change the question a little bit, which is what one of the pollings did, and they said, what if it's a regional peace deal? Suddenly the majority said yes. So there is how you frame a question. What we talk about a lot is less this idea two-state, one-state confederation, and more the values in which you negotiate any agreement. And if the value isn't based on liberation and on justice and on equality and on dignity and on safety and on security for everyone, then it doesn't matter. You can have a two-state solution and it'll be a failure. You can have a one-state solution, it'll end up like Rwanda. You can have a three-state solution, it'll end up like Yugoslavia, I don't know, like former Yugoslavia. You can have two states and end up like Russia and Ukraine. Like, the idea of which solution is less relevant than what kind of solution values are there. So the indications today, it's tricky to say, oh yeah, people are pro this or pro that. I think people are desperate for hope. They want to see signs that the world cares, because if you ask people, I can tell you on the Palestinian side, the feeling is nobody cares. So they want to see that somebody does care, and they want to see that there is hope. And this is why a lot of our work is really focused on creating hope, because I can't go to Palestinians and talk about anything else if I can't tell them there's hope. And we undermine, like, there's this mindset is if we can say two states, then people are going to be happy. We have to give people a reason to believe something is going to happen, and it's not two state, one state, but rather we see you as a human, and we value your life as equal to every other person's life, and we have to create that hope in our communities, because without it, it doesn't matter what solution you come with, people will reject it.
So how do you build that hope?
So we'll get to that soon. I also want to touch on the support thing and where the discourse is now and the public opinion and polls. To me, it doesn't matter. It's not relevant where the people are now. What's relevant is only where we can bring them to. And if we were sitting here and in 2 years after the Yom Kippur War, the war, 1973 war, and you would ask any Israeli, including our Prime Minister Golda Meir, she said after the war there will be no peace in our lifetime. Moshe Dayan, a war hero, the Minister of Defense during the war, and later the Foreign Secretary, he said it's better to have Sinai Peninsula without peace than peace without Sinai Peninsula. More than 70% of the Jewish Israelis were against negotiation. They said the Egyptians, they are all evil. They want to throw us to the sea. And it changed by night. It changed by night. by a courageous Arab leader, President Anwar Sadat of Egypt, that in November 1977 is visiting Israel. And the children of Israel are waiting for him in 4 major cities, Tel Aviv, Haifa, Beersheba, and Jerusalem, with 2 flags in their hands. Of course, the flag of Israel, and in the other end, the flag of Israel, biggest enemy till the day before, Egypt. And the discourse flipped. The majority, by night, the majority was supporting not just negotiations, supporting land for peace. And this is how we achieved our first, and then with Jordan, the secure and safe border. The only way to achieve security and safety, which are also the values of the future, is only through diplomacy, through negotiation, and compromising. If we won't be willing to compromise, we're going to be trapped in this cycle we've been trapped within for the last century. And when it's now 4 or 5 generations of multi-generation trauma, fear, suffering, and hate, so it's very difficult, like we see, it's very difficult to break this trap. And this is why we also need international support. It's very difficult that you are locked within it to see the future, to create hope. But, and this is where I'm going to create hope, even in this dark time, definitely when you look in the news, what's happening in Palestine, in Israel, in the region, you say it's the darkest time that we've seen. And it is. The last 2 years been the worst 2 years since the beginning of civilization. There were only 3 bloodiest periods. The destruction of the first temple, second temple, and the Crusaders wars. So we are now, it's the 4th bloodiest 2 years in the history of the Holy Land. And in this time, many Palestinians and many Israelis are working together in a movement, building a coalition that create hope by envisioning a better future for both people and acting as so hard, like Aziz shared his memory working with his father in the farm and in the field. We are working so hard to make this vision into a reality. So if it's with its time coalition, more than 70 peace and reconciliation organizations that are grouping together and do many events, if it's Rabbi for Human Rights that are bringing volunteers, Israeli and from all over the world, to protect the harvest in the olive harvest in Palestine. And just only 2 examples for dozens of organizations and many individuals that day and night are creating hope by working and partnering and building a shared future between Palestinians and Israelis.
Share with, but I want to lift up what Maoz just said, that last May and again in the coming May, there was a coalition of 70 different organizations that I actually went to in Jerusalem to see them working together for peace. And there'll be another gathering next May. You want to go? Let's talk.
Yeah.
They've been working very, very hard and doing a lot of work together. And there are all these organizations that are doing these work, as these 2 amazing humans have just said. It's not like it doesn't exist. We just don't always hear about it. But,
and including the organization Aziz and I just co-founded Interact, in which we are working to fulfill our vision to make peace by 2030. This is the time frame, that there will be a negotiated agreement by 2030 between Israelis and Palestinians. And we initiated a few different programs. We are building a center, a reconciliation and peace center in Nazareth, which is the largest Palestinian city within Israel, Beit Fauzi Azar. We started a women leadership program and scholarship for Palestinian students. We do this work here and creating a speaker bureau. So, and we are partnering with many other organizations and individuals to create and form a coalition, because no one, even us can't fulfill this big dream and big vision by our own. We must have each one of you support and as many support as we can to end the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, 100 years of war, and to create the future we all deserve.
So I want to make sure that you get to talk about the book a little bit more before we start. We're going to take a few questions because I know it's getting late. Our students had to leave most of them, because their time was over for class. But can you say some more about the book? And yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
You can read your part.
So also in our book, we are sharing the 5 steps that we need to take in order to make it our dream into a reality. And the first step is to dream. So many do ask us all the time, so practically, what can we do? What should we do? And the first thing is to dream.
What? Can you say that word again?
Dream. Thank you.
John Lennon inspired the book.
And many others. Many others.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Have we told you what the name of the book yet? Yeah, we're doing pretty bad.
We exactly the opposite what our agent
Told us
told us
this morning.
If you want us to invite you back when the book comes out, you better tell us what it's called.
Yeah, the name of the book is The Future is Peace. So,
Yes.
thank you.
So in the 7th chapter in our forthcoming book, The Future is Peace,
Nice. Nice.
I'm sharing how I see the importance of dreaming. I also discovered that when you have a bigger goal, a deeper meaning, a grander dream, you become capable of overcoming obstacles you once thought were immovable. A dream you truly believe in can silence the noise of others people fear. It can steady your voice when doubt creeps in. Maybe it is the only way to overcome all the challenges, both internal and external, that rise up to block up the path. When your purpose feels larger than your own comfort, larger than the inherited narratives, you find the strength to keep going. When you have a dream you truly believe in, nothing feels impossible. Thank you. And if you will buy our book, you will also learn about the next 4 steps, which is.
No, you don't tell them, so they buy the book.
But you can pre-order it now.
The cards are getting passed around so you can see more about the book and pre-order too.
So
Yeah.
the first step in order to fulfill our dream, the future is peace, is to dream, to agree on our shared values that we will base and build our dream upon. We need to build a coalition, and this is why we are here. We want you to be our partner, not just listeners. We want to partner with you and work with you because we need a very big and strong coalition and partnership. We need to have a roadmap that will take us to the dream, and we need to execute and implement this roadmap. So about those 5 steps and much more we also share in our book, which is also not just our personal stories, and we share a lot, like there are 4 dimensions. The land, its history, the myth and theology of the land, 100 years of conflict, our personal stories and our families, and the 4th dimension, and I believe it's the most important dimension, is the future. And we are taking you from the pain and the trauma that we as individuals suffered and our people, and through the healing and curing and into the future. And the future, again, I promise you, like I shared with you in my vision, the future is so beautiful. The future is so beautiful, but we just need to be courageous enough and brave enough together.
Thank you. So I see folks are starting to leave because it's getting late. I think we should take 1 or 2 questions.
We
if
are
people
here.
have. Yeah?
Yeah.
Patrick?
Sure.
Deacon Patrick, yes. Question or two? Not a statement, not a book, a question.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for coming and speaking with us. Yeah, I think my question is, so I'm an anti-Zionist Jew, and I'm curious, like, you talk about, violence is never the answer, and is there ever like a moral war, or in this case I would say genocide? And I'm just curious, like, it feels like in some ways it's been presented as just like a conflict, but
So I'm going to ask you to say your question, please.
so my question is then like, gosh, sorry, you just got me off track. My question is then, how, like, what do you expect? It feels like so much of this is in the court of Israel. Like, what do you expect Palestinians to be able to do when they've tried peaceful resistance, and like what are their options when there's so much power on the side of Israel, like the administrative detentions and the, like essentially Palestinian hostages.
So you're asking, what do you expect from Palestinians in this moment, yes?
Like, yeah, what
Thank you.
what can they do, and what more can Israelis do?
Thank you, thank you.
You want to start?
I think both of us recognize that there is a massive power imbalance. And we started with talking about the occupation, and my journey to being peace activist was realizing that there are Israelis who I can work with to ending the occupation. So a lot of what people in the peace movement do is realizing that the occupation is one of the biggest hurdles into having peace, and that we're not going to have peace without changing the injustice on the ground. And whether it's what's happening today from the settlers and the pogroms and so on in the West Bank, or what happened in Gaza, or all of that. So that's absolutely is something we agree on, and we think is very important to be addressed. What can we do? I think what's happening today in Msafir Yatta, or in some of the villages where there's a harvest of the olive, is a good example of what needs to be done in 1,000 ways bigger. Is we need more doing things together, Palestinians and Israelis, that challenges the status quo and challenges the system and says this system doesn't work and we will not accept this system. So right now we have tens, sometimes hundreds of activists, Israeli activists, who are going to these Palestinian villages and protecting the farmers, working together with the Palestinians. I think the hope is next year, as the same thing is happening, we have 10,000, 20,000 people going. I think that's part of what we are trying to do in this movement, is saying we need to grow in action, not only grow in saying we support peace. And then we need to think more and more of what other similar activities we need to do together. I don't think we'll be able to achieve peace, either of us working alone. I think our focus must be together. So that's one there. But the second, and Maoz touched on it briefly, is your role here. I don't think Palestinians and Israelis can achieve peace without you being part of it. And we saw that with the ceasefire agreement, which it's a very problematic ceasefire. We can talk about, is it even really a ceasefire? But with that being said, things have changed in the last month. If you live in Gaza, as terrible as even the last month has been, it's so much different than before. And that happened because the US decided, okay, this needs to stop. I can tell you from everyone I know who's on the right in Israel, Netanyahu did not want this to happen, and yet it happened the moment Trump told him, hey, do it. So international pressure is significantly important, and that's a lot of the time we spend on, is going, meeting people in Congress, politicians in Europe, meeting politicians in the EU, mayors, ambassadors, all of that, because we think there is a strong, strong part of ending this that relies on what international leaders and international communities, and that means all of you here pressuring your own politicians who often create more problems for us than, and this is going back to pollings. The recent pollings that OMEP, Alliance for Middle East Peace, did has been really a shocker in some ways in the US, because the assumption was leftists in the US will support pressure and investment in peace and so on, and people on the right will not. And the results came out quite shocking that especially MAGA supporters are more likely to support peace than actually Republicans, generic Republican, which I'm reading and I'm like, I'm confused. Like that's not what I expected. And one of my favorite questions in it was, where do you think the US should invest more money? In sending weapons to Israel or in sending finance, support, all of that to peace movement, Israel and Palestine? At the moment, the US invests zero money in the peace movement, zero. And last year, over $20 billion in weapons. And vast majority, I think about 2/3, more than 2/3, of MAGA supporters say there should be more investment financially of the US in peacemaking than in weapons. That's MAGA. So we actually have the US population with us. But the problem is they don't know that in reality, their elected officials are not listening to their message. So what we need is you making sure those elected officials, whether they're Republican or Democrat, it really doesn't matter, have to come together, and we have to tell them, no, you can't keep voting to only invest in war. As Maoz said, if you invest in war, you get war. And if you invest in destruction, you get destruction. If you keep sending these 2,000 pounds bombs, you're going to get dead children. It's just the reality. Instead, we need to change the way our politicians work. And I think it's very possible. I didn't expect that many Americans are actually already on our side.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
I will just add then, so we can take in one sentence how I see your question, which is a very good one. So I believe that in partnership, and that's how I see it, I'm not calling the Palestinian the other side. The Palestinians are my partners, and I come with no expectation for this relationship. I'm expecting only from myself. And that's also working with me great with my wife. We are already 30 years together in raising 3 beautiful children. So I'm expecting for myself. And there is a beautiful, beautiful phrase on the walls in the old city of Nazareth. Also, we talk about it in the book, our forthcoming book, The Future is Peace. Please tell Doug I'm getting better, Paula. So this writing says, expect existence. So I think if both Israelis and Palestinians will expect
respect existence,
respect
existence, or expect resistance.
Yes, say it again.
Respect existence or expect resistance.
So I want to ask how should we respect each other? Again, we should respect the existence of the other. And if we'll do that, respect and not expecting, then we're going to live, again, the future we are creating. So I'm coming with great respect to my Palestinian partners, brothers and sisters, not just for the land, but for humanity. And this is the way I see the life in the Holy Land.
Thank you, thank you. So
Thanks, Aziz, for correct me every time.
we actually have room for maybe 1 or 2 more questions. So 1, 2, and then I'm going to let you all go. One, Gabriel.
That worries me. Hi, my name is Gabriel, as the rabbi has mentioned. My question regarded something that happened during the war that I thought was not given a lot of thought, and that was the proposal that the Sheikh of Hebron gave to independently recognize Israel and enter the Abraham Accords, not as a unified Palestinian state, but as an independent emirate. This is very sensitive. That's cool. What I was wondering was your thoughts on this, to the both of you. Is such a proposal something you believe is beneficial to peace? Is it possible?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
No, I know the story, and in a few words, no, I don't think it is. I also think the way it was reported in Israeli media is that this guy is very important, and he's not. And he's not represent. My family is from Hebron, so when he presented himself as from the tribal leader of Hebron, I can tell you my family is one of the largest families in Hebron, is the Abu Sarah clan, and nobody that I'm aware of in my family, and we are like 40,000 people, so it's a big family, big clan. I don't think anybody supports it, and the reason is the moment you break Palestinians into clans and families, and this family will negotiate alone with Israel, and that family will negotiate alone with Israel, that breaks down any future possibility for a future. I don't think it helps. We need, as Palestinians, to have that conversation with Israel, not a clan recognizing Israel. Like, he individually can definitely do it, and that's fine, but I don't think he's speaking for majority of Palestinians. I don't think it's really gonna make any difference, in my opinion. It's a PR thing. It's not any serious stuff. Now, with that being said, just because we talk about leadership maybe here, I can criticize the Israeli government for quite a while. We've done that. I also think the current Palestinian government is a shameful government, the Palestinian Authority, because it's 20 years where we haven't been able to choose our leaders. Last election we had was in 2006. Last presidential election was 2005. I think everyone in the top leadership need to go home. I think we have very, US too. I think we have very capable young Palestinians who can take the mantle and can lead. I always tell Paula I can suggest 100 different people. When I go to events and stuff right now, I see mostly people who are younger than me, who want to be involved in politics, who want to be involved in this work. They need to be the ones in leadership, not the ones we have today. So hopefully we will be moving more and more toward that. And the same.
Are women.
What is that?
A number of them are women.
Yeah, and many, many, many of them are women. And that's true in Gaza, by the way, as well. Is lots of the activists who are doing stuff in Gaza today are women. There's a lot of misinformation. Look, I hate Hamas. I can't stand Hamas. We can talk about. I also don't think, just like I don't think the Palestinian Authority should be run the way it's run today. I think Hamas has screwed up so bad that I don't think they should be ruling Gaza. But there's also a misconception that Palestinian women, for example, in Gaza were not allowed to exist, and therefore there are no Palestinian women who can lead in Gaza, and they're not in public life, and that's absolute nonsense. There are incredible women who are active in Gaza. If you do a little bit of search online, you will find that some of the most outspoken voices coming out of Gaza are young Palestinian women who not even wearing, the assumption also they all wearing hijab, and there's nothing wrong with that, but they're not even all wearing hijab. Like, they're not forced to wear hijab. This is so much of misinformation about what's happening, whether it's in Gaza or in the West Bank, that a lot of time, half of what I end up being drawn into these conversations online that I hate to be drawn into is people saying nonsense that is just not accurate. Also about like, oh, Palestinians are killing gay people left and right. Like, yes, there have been a handful of things in the last 30 years, but it is, I have gay friends in Jerusalem, Palestinian gay friends, I have gay friends in the West Bank, and no, we're not killing every gay person in Palestine, and it's just, we got to take a deep breath and not believe everything we're hearing online, because so much of it is nonsense.
Thank you, thank you. All right, last question. Rich, sorry, after. Yeah. I don't want to overstay our welcome here.
Thank you. What an inspiring talk. I really appreciate this. My question, I have so many questions, but I will be concise. What do you recommend for young people, whether they're teenagers or college students? So much of folks just withdraw to identity politics. I'm Jewish, so I'm going to identify this way. I'm Arab, I'm going to identify this way on an issue. And they rarely comprehend or engage with the conflict or relations in an open way. So is there something that young people can do today, in the United States in particular, that you can recommend? And another one, unrelated, is are there Arab countries, can you point to any Arab countries that you would consider are true allies of the position that you are taking?
All right.
No, I will start, and Paula stop me if it's or Aziz. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict, yeah, like you just said, is becoming the identity of many, not just young students, but of many people around the world. And politicians are using it in order to divide, to separate, and create fear and distrust between us in order to thrive and prosper as politicians. And when you choose a side, when each one of us is choosing a side, is basically choosing that the conflict will continue. Because next to him sit another young guy or girl or adult that choose the other side. That's how humanity is. We love to split. Okay, so next to you sits someone that choose the other side, and then we are ensuring, and then many times you win the argument, your protest is bigger, you win the debate online or in the debate club. But while you are winning the argument and the debate, we are losing our life. Literally.
So what's your suggestion?
So my suggestion is for everyone to keep caring. Okay, care. Care is important, and being more knowledgeable, and then support the peacemakers. Choose the peacemakers. There are many of us, and we are looking for partners. Many of us in Palestinian, Israeli shared organization or individual that choose peace and reconciliation. So support us, and then we'll make peace soon, and then you will be able to export, to import to your universities, to your cities, to your communities, the solution and not the conflict. And then we truly believe that there will be a global peace. This is what we want. This is what the prophets said. We want to have a global peace. This is the song we were singing. We start with. There should be, there can be, and there will be global peace. But in order to achieve that, each one of us need to be a prophet, need to be a peacemaker, need to be an angel and the Messiah. It's within each one of us. We cannot wait for the Messiah. We cannot wait for the prophet. Each one of us should act like he is the one. She's the one. And so I think I answered you. And before I finish, and I let Aziz and Paula, I also want to share a blessing I received from my mom. About 10 years ago, my mom was a mandala painter, and she blessed me, and there are also postcards in the lobby. All our dreams can be fulfilled if we have the courage to chase them. And it's great to put it in your fridge and remember that every time you take something. So you are welcome to pick one. Thank you.
This is one of those, Maoz, and I have a bit of a different answer. I actually think protests on campus are good. I think it's important for young people to be out and to be passionate. I also think the protests in Israel are good. I think protests in Palestine against our own government are good. It's good to have strong position, but it's important those positions are not demonizing and dehumanizing anybody. And to try to make them as big of a tent as also possible. So I don't want young people to hear that. I don't think we have yet given sometimes enough tools to young people to do something. And I think there is more that can be done on campuses in partnership with organizations, with peacemakers. But I'm thinking, for example, in the US, there's 2 young men from Texas who started, because all good things happen in Texas, right? Oh wait, wrong state to say that, I forgot. 2 young guys, one Palestinian, one Jewish, who started this organization called Atidna, who's been doing a lot of work that's very much rooted in justice, peace, liberation, dignity, all of that stuff. And they've been working on different campuses across the US.
So we're going to bring them here. Anybody here from UCSC or Cabrillo? We're bringing them here. Let's do it.
Yeah, meet with them. Amazing,
have a
amazing 2 young men, Jad and Elijah. We went and visited them in Texas, and they are an example of what is possible, because they were 20, Jad I think was 20 years old. He's a young Palestinian American, and Elijah was 21 when they started this whole thing. And they, within 2 years, have become in like over a dozen campuses, doing tons of work together. They lobbying, they organizing, they do protests, they do all of that stuff. And they really impressive 2 young men who are doing really great things. So we need to connect young people with them, because they will give so much more answers probably than even I can give you on that.
Wow. So I want to invite all of us to just kind of take a deep breath right now. Close your eyes. Feel a sense of gratitude to these 2 peacemakers who have joined us this evening. Send them all of your hopes and prayers and love, that the path that they are walking, they will always know we are with them. The future is peace. The future is peace. Thank you for being here this evening. Thank you to the Sangha Shantivanam. Thank you to Deacon Patrick. Appreciate all of you who joined us this evening. Inshallah, Bezat Hashem, with God's help, we will see it in our day, and we say together,
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Paula. Thank you.
Just an announcement. This was live streamed to YouTube, where you can see it on demand as well. If you want to invite other people to watch this, just
Contributions in the basket right there.
to get to that, you just look on YouTube, Resurrection Church Aptos, and you'll find it. You might need to click on the live part to get it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, it's good. Paula, you need to travel with us everywhere.
What?
You need to travel with us.
Well, in the spring.
here.
I told you, we